90-Day Fiancé. Greg Chillock and Joan Kruchoff are rubbing me the wrong way. Will they be cast again? I'm not liking 90-Day Fiancé Season 11 couple, Greg Chillock and Joan Kruchoff, as their behavior and attitudes are rubbing me the wrong way, but I fear they may be cast in the franchise again. 90-Day Fiancé Season 11 is more than halfway through the season, and Greg and Joan have gotten a lot of screen time as their wedding day approaches. Joan is originally from Kampala, Uganda. She and Long Island, New York, native Greg met when Greg was traveling in Uganda. They had an initial spark that led to more after they reconnected on social media. Greg was a 35-year-old part-time baker who, admittedly, never held down a real job when he entered the franchise. And 27-year-old Joan abandoned her NGO director job to come to America and be with Greg. I've noticed several red flags between the pair. Video game-addicted Greg had turned down a good state job opportunity, while Joan was full of unhealthy ultimatums. The pair don't seem to function in an adult relationship well, as they rely on Greg's mother, Lucille, a lot, and their treatment of her irks me. Greg lives in his mother's house, and before Joan arrived, Lucille did everything for Greg. Between picking up after him, cleaning, and encouraging him, Greg depended on his mother for full support. Once Joan came to America, she, too, relied on Lucille. Greg does have dreams of buying his own house one day, but he is completely unrealistic, as is Joan. Joan wants the timeline to move out to be 6 months, but Greg knows he won't have the funds by then. Moreover, Greg won't compromise and move into an apartment, which I find annoying. Greg and Joan are going to continue to need to rely on Lucille while they figure out their logistical steps. Greg can't function without the help and support of his mom. While I think it's great they share a close bond, I think Joan and Greg are taking advantage of her since they don't seem to appreciate all that she provides. Lucille gave Greg and Joan a roof over their heads only for Joan to turn around and tell Lucille that she was in her own home too much and should go out more. Why would she say something like that? I have been very accommodating to them, so that sends off signals that maybe she isn't an appreciative person. I do acknowledge that Joan has been doing some of the house chores, unlike Greg, but her comment towards Lucille, I felt, was super out of line. Then, Joan asked Lucille to drive her to her wedding dress fitting, and Lucille thought she would be part of the experience. But Joan didn't want Lucille to come, and she instead had a video call with her family. It hurt Lucille's feelings again. I don't think Joan should be so harsh and dismissive of Lucille, given all she's doing for her. Lucille wants to be a good mother-in-law, but Joan is making it hard. Meanwhile, Greg is contributing nothing and not helping mend or grow the relationship between his mom and his fiancé, which I find utterly distasteful. 90-Day Fiancé's Greg and Joan do have an inflammatory storyline and circumstances, which usually bodes well for couples who have tended to return to the franchise after their initial appearances. However, I don't think they are interesting enough to merit an entire follow-up narrative on the happily ever after spin-off. Were they to be selected to appear again, I think the catch-up self-filmed spin-off 90-Day Diaries would be better suited for them, although I wish they would just fade away into 90-Day Fiancé history. 90-Day Fiancé airs Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on LTC. 90-Day Fiancé signs Shekinah Garner and Sarper Güven will stay together despite their major drama. Shekinah Garner and Sarper Güven's relationship may be breaking down on 90-Day Fiancé Season 11, but the embattled couple hasn't called it quits just yet. Shekinah and Sarper have experienced numerous ups and downs since they first appeared on 90-Day Fiancé, The Other Way. Shekinah had trouble grappling with Sarper's playboy past, and they both struggled with trust issues. Their arguments often turned explosive and nasty. Their engagement seemed to turn over a new leaf, but even after Sarper moved to Los Angeles to begin his life with Shekinah, old patterns re-emerged. A recent fight that played out on screen seemed like it could spell the end of their relationship, with Sarper threatening to abandon his K-1 visa and move back to Turkey. Although the couple made up the following episode, Shekinah dropped several hints on social media that she'd finally given up on repairing her broken relationship. However, signs remain that Sarper and Shekinah are still together, and given everything they've been through, it appears nothing will tear them apart. While Shekinah has spoken out on social media about the problems in her relationship, recent sightings suggest the couple is still very much together. Sarper included Shekinah a Mother's Day photo alongside his own mother, and Shekinah commented, "Love your sweet mama." The pair continues to spend time with Sarper's family, and they were recently spotted with his parents in Las Vegas in a photograph shared by Shobuti. These photographs not only confirm that Sarper and Shekinah are still on good terms, but they also drop a major hint about their marital status. Sarper is clearly still living in Los Angeles, which means he and Shekinah must have gotten married. Furthermore, Shobuti pointed out that Sarper's wedding ring is visible. The proud display of wedding rings suggests that the breakup rumors are false and Sarper and Shekinah are still romantically involved. Sarper and Shekinah's relationship seemed to be past the point of repair after their most recent fight on 90 Day Fiancé Season 11, during which Sarper told Shekinah he hated her and threatened to leave without ever giving her another thought. While viewers anticipated either a breakup or a heart-to-heart reconciliation, they were left disappointed. Instead, Sarper and Shekinah repaired their relationship through physical intimacy. Sarper commented, "When we woke up the next morning, everything was a little more smooth." Shekinah admitted that her physical chemistry with Sarper is the glue that holds us together. No matter how big the argument, it allows them to come back together and move forward. This method isn't great for repairing the major problems in Sarper and Shekinah's relationship, but it is likely what's allowed them to stay together this long. As the couple's on-screen drama played out, Shekinah shared her side of the story on social media. 90 Day Fiancé Update captured a screenshot from Shekinah's Instagram stories that went into detail about the indignities she'd suffered in her relationship. She mentioned feeling alone because your partner is always checked out and one-sided effort at conflict resolution. 90 Day Fiancé Breaking News shared a video of Shekinah explaining how much she had improved Sarper's life since meeting him. She claimed Sarper used to have the most toxic, chaotic, unhealthy life. While Shekinah said she's given Sarper everything he could have wanted, he still struggles with taking responsibility. She added, "I'm sorry, but when you're 45 years old you need to learn responsibility if you haven't already." Shekinah hasn't been shy about airing her and Sarper's dirty laundry, hinting to 90 Day Fiancé viewers that she's finally had enough. But at the same time, she stops short of confirming they are officially done. While it's possible that Shekinah is being vague to avoid breaking the terms of her non-disclosure agreement, the simple solution would be to not comment on the situation at all. Shekinah's purposely fanning the flames to make viewers think she was unable to resolve her issues with Sarper, but she never says outright that they broke up. With all the chaos in Shekinah and Sarper's relationship, they somehow seem to be stronger than ever. They're allegedly married and living together in Los Angeles, which required Sarper to leave everything behind and Shekinah to make space for him in her own life. The most reasonable explanation is that they enjoy drama and seek it out in their relationship. Sarper and Shekinah both seem to love being the center of attention. The pride and energy they each put into their appearance suggests they care deeply about what other people think. Their cycle of fighting and making up draws attention to their relationship, and they seem to thrive on that energy, whether it's positive or negative. Despite alluding to a breakup, it's possible that Sarper and Shekinah's 90-day fiancé journey is far from over, and speculation about their relationship helps secure their future with the franchise.